Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love, here with your Sports Overview Topics, episode number 52. Uh, Hope everyone's having a good day and being safe. Uh, Apologize for this getting up a little later than expected. Uh, I wanted to record it yesterday, but due to we're getting a new roof and stuff worked on the house, so I just wasn't geared up for yesterday, but here today, I'm gonna try to be as control for the podcast today. But if you hear anything rattling around, um, stuff being worked on at the house. But nonetheless, here today to speak on many things regarding the sports world. As we know, the NBA playoffs is gearing forward and forward. The the Phoenix Suns, they swept the Denver Nuggets and the MVP, Nikola Jokic. I'll get more into depth in that in a sec. Um, Also talk about the Final Four being set up now for the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs for this year, as well as my review for UFC 263, which was this Saturday night or last Saturday night. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me today. If you're new to the podcast, like and subscribe. If you like this video or you want to see more, you can catch up more on the channel, as well as sports review topics, my pro wrestling reviews, etc. So, getting into the gear first, chiming in on UFC 263. I want to touch up on first. Kind of going in order. So, UFC 263 was Saturday night. It was a, I would say, okay fight card. Had some intriguing fights. With Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad, Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. That had some bad blood going into it. With the main event being Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori 2. But first, starting off with the main card on top. So, Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Now, Paul Craig, he's kind of a veteran. I've seen him fight a few times against Shogun. He is a solid fighter. He's not in the upper echelon yet, but if he continues to make strides, he may be there in due time. But this was a bizarre way to start the main card. I mean, if you watch the weigh-ins, you can tell that there's bad blood between these two. And Paul Craig, I mean, it seemed like it was gearing towards a submission anyway. But what happened was, at the excuse me, at the end of the first round, Craig caught Hill in a beautiful and deadly armbar on the ground, and credit to Hill for not tapping. His arm was twisted, whatnot, and then while on the ground, it configured into a triangle choke, and then You can tell because his arm was, he wasn't out, his arm was just broken and it was limp. You could see it bounce up and down on Craig's stomach. It was doing hammer fist with a right hand, but the referee called it off as Hill broken his arm, and I would say still a definitive victory for Paul Craig. So, but hats off to Hill for not tapping. So, then transitioning from that fight to Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. I was a little bit intrigued for this fight, knowing that we know Damian Maia, he's well crafted as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned. Bilal Muhammad, he's, well, this is his first real fight in a little bit because he got poked in the eye by Leon Edwards, and that was all of that. But this was a unentertaining fight to say the least, in which Bilal Muhammad got the decision. And I mean, Damian Maia, he's so well crafted in jiu-jitsu that sometimes if it doesn't go his way, he doesn't really have, as we know, he doesn't really have a lot of good stand-up. We know he's well crafted in jiu-jitsu, and we saw with Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, that it can make for a boring fight if it doesn't go his way. So, and that was the case here. Next, we go to, excuse me, so the first of two, no, excuse me, Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz, a 5-round welterweight bout. So, obviously, this was moved from UFC 262 to 263 due to injury. Nate Diaz suffered camp. Nonetheless, we've finally got the fight, and it was entertaining for what it was. You know, and this was interesting knowing that both fighters haven't really fought in a long time. You know, Diaz hasn't fought in layoffs between the Jorge Masvidal fight and then Leon Edwards. He hasn't fought in a few years if you don't count that Bilal Muhammad situation that happened weeks ago. And now it's like, okay, what would this win really do for Leon Edwards? Because he has fallen and fallen on the rankings due to inactivity. And he's a guy that's not really active at welterweight. But nonetheless, this fun fight. Really, both were landing. Um, of course, the biggest lasting impact, literally, of the fight is the last round when Nate Diaz, he caught and rocked Leon Edwards with a beautiful left hand. And we know with Diaz, it's just his nature. When he sees he catches you, he notices it, but he doesn't really fall sometimes. It's like, now, that could have been because of the big cut above his eye, and he was probably just like waiting for Edwards to make a move so he could catch him again. But, you know, you see against Michael Johnson and you see against Connor where he catches you and he notices it, he points and he sees it and he's just waiting, and maybe he just got lost track of the round, lost track of time. It's just, if he followed up, he probably would have finished. He probably could have, not saying he would have, but he probably could have finished Leon Edwards in that case and picked up an upset. But decision win for Leon Edwards. I mean, entertaining fight. It's just strange how this works for Leon Edwards. I mean, yes, we love Diaz, and we all know the fan support he has, but Diaz is not really a ranked opponent, so we'll have to see. Hopefully, Leon can stay active enough and find opponents to move his way back up the ladder in the 170-pound division. So now I want to go from that fight to the co-main event, the Vicente Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 2. Now, this was a well-wanted rematch between these two after the great fight that escalated between them the first go around, and it was a draw between Figueiredo and Moreno. Such back and forth fight, both were hurt. This go around, it obviously, when you have such a good first, it's hard to follow that up with the sequel. And the sequel obviously wasn't as good, but considering the result, it definitely leaves a more lasting impact, I would say, in the fact that, well, first off, Moreno draw first blood and he knocked down Figueiredo. Then Figueiredo fired back, last takedowns, or got Moreno down to the mat. Then in the third round, Moreno just snatched on him like a boa constrictor and got into his back, locked in the body triangle, and it took a little bit, but Moreno locked on the rear naked choke, and Moreno or Figueiredo tapped, this history was made. The first Mexican champion of the UFC crowned Saturday night. Brandon Moreno gets the job done. Now, I must say that Moreno, I mean, he was kind of a guy that, you know, is goofy, he's good, but can we take him seriously for him to get over that hump? And would he be here? That was kind of the vibe I got from him. And in the first fight with Figueroa, we saw his toughness and really that he can hang with the best. And this fight, he proved me wrong and proved, I assume, others wrong, and is now the top dog in the UFC flyweight division. So good for Moreno. As for Figueroa, I mean, he can very well. I won't be surprised if we see a third fight between these two, and we get that trilogy. So, be very interesting to see what happens. But good moment and good for Brandon Moreno. So now the main event. Now, Brandon Moreno winning the title was a very good moment, and the main event. I mean, after a press conference, there was obviously more hype going in this fight, seeing how it play out. But I think we all kind of expected this. So, Adesanya, we saw in his last fight against Paul Costa, dispatching Costa the way he did. And this fight, I mean, yes, people are obviously critical because he fought Vittori here instead of Robert Whitaker, the rematch. But nonetheless, he cleared out. Vittori stepped up, and while it was good for him, didn't turn out to his liking. In which Asanya, he controlled the pace, he landed shots. Now, there was a little moment where it seemed like Vittori could have him when Vittori had Asanya on the ground and he had the body lock in and went for the road naked, but Asanya, he exploded and he wound up on top, and that little moment, that was all Vittori really had. I mean, he still went for takedowns, but it was basically all Adesanya besides that one moment. And Adesanya took the cake here and won 50-45. Afterwards, he called out Whitaker for the rematch, saying they need to do this, but this time in Auckland, his home turf, and that's just the right fight to make. And I would love to see a rematch. Now, both are still really talented. Now, I will say it will be interesting to see how Wicker does after the role he's been on since losing the title to Asana with his victories over Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and Kelvin Gastelum. See how he does, and with almost a new mindset, I would say Wicker has, but should be interesting, and I can't wait for that rematch. So there's that. My review of UFC 263. Now I'll chime in on going for that to we're down to the final four, and as far as the Stanley Cup is concerned, the Stanley Cup tournament playoffs. So over the weekend, the or last week, so the Colorado Avalanche, who had the best record in the NHL, had the number one seed and had home ice advantage in the playoffs, were taken off their feet by the Vegas Golden Knights, who seemed like they were going to be left in the dust after trailing 2-0 to the Avalanche. And then they rattled off 4 straight victories to upset the Avalanche, take them out, and advance to the semifinals. Then we had the Montreal Canadiens. They took care of the Winnipeg Jets in what was an ugly series, but they got it done. So we got that side of the coin. The other side of the coin, to turn the other opponent, we got the what was expected, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, taking on the New York Islanders, who took care of the Boston Bruins together. So that will be interesting. Now, originally, I thought it was going to be the Lightning versus the Avalanche, and that would have been an interesting Stanley Cup series. But looks like, the Vegas Golden Knights, the last few years especially, they have been very much in it, and no disrespect to the Canadians, but I think the Golden Knights are riding a high and right now, and I think it's going to be the Lightning versus the Golden Knights for the Stanley Cup this go around. So there's that. And lastly, I want to talk about today, touch upon it a little bit in the open, but the Phoenix Suns swept the Denver Nuggets, and they are the lone and the first team to advance to conference finals in the NBA playoffs this year. Now, first I'll talk about the Nuggets. Now, Jokic, he won MVP last week. Well deserved. Uh, Obviously, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been advocating for Chris Paul as one of them to get more MVP love. And for the job he has done with the Suns this season. And I mean, someone will probably ask him, and he'll probably say it was not a big deal. But I wonder if him not winning MVP was probably an extra boost or an extra motivation. Sorry, there's a fly around here. Uh, but anyways, so I mean, I said a bunch that with Jamal Murray going down, how far can Jokic take the team? Because no, Jokic is a great player. We know it, but looking up and down the squad, you were looking for that guy that could score 20 to 25 points to help out the Joker, and that was just not the case. Now, Jokic, did his part, but the large part was the team around him did not do their part, or didn't do enough. And then, in the fourth game, which closed them out on Sunday night, uh, was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Nuggets was the flagrant two, where Jokic uh, hit Cameron Payne. I don't think it was intentional. Yes, he made contact with Payne's face, but I don't think it was intentional. And he was ejected for that, and that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the Nuggets after that. And I'm just annoyed with how soft the NBA has been. I mean, yes, I get it. There's a fine line between safe and ridiculous foot or basketball. So I'll say that. Now, from talking about the Nuggets, talking about the Suns because they deserve more praise, especially after what they did. I mean, they went through the Lakers. Now, the defending champ Lakers. Now, Craig Anthony Davis, he was in and out of the lineup due to his injuries. And the way they handled that groin injury of Anthony Davis was just stupid. And Chris Paul, more and more you see this team flows as he's the distributor of the team. He's the driving force that pretty much take this team from a good team that was just outside the playoffs in the bubble to now they are a great team really now because you got Chris Paul who's the distributor. You got Devin Booker who we know can get 30 or 20 points any given day. We got Cameron Payne, who's now coming along. We got DeAndre Ayton, who stepped up and stepped up. Jay Crowder, he's tough. He's come along from the Miami Heat last year, and he's come on strong. I mean, there's a bunch of pieces. Malik Bridges, another person. I mean, they're just hitting their stride, and just good see for Devin Booker and good for Chris Paul. Because now they're, well, especially Devin Booker, because Chris Paul has been in the playoffs, been on many good teams. Devin Booker, now he's on a stage where he can be recognized, and he's in the playoffs. They were the number 2 seed for the reason, and they keep proving that. And they still remain my pick. There's a reason why they were my pick from the West to be in the finals. And I mean, yes, the Clippers and the Jazz are both really talented teams. I just think the Suns are going to continue to ride this wave of momentum into the finals. Alright, so that was the episode for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, if you're new and you like this video, like and subscribe. Again, getting access to all the videos on my channel, as far as also clicking the bell to get notifications of when I'm on and when my videos drop. I mean, it's good. Despite the work getting on in my house, I didn't really hear much throughout this episode, so I'm good on that. Hope this video is good for you guys. Thank you. I'll see you all on Saturday for your AW Dynamo review. So thank you. Peace and be safe.